Man, here we are in the new set.
I know, right?
The pig's behind me this time.
I know, you got the pig.
It's like a mirror. I wonder if anyone will care. I wonder if it will be a weird thing for audience to be like, oh my god, they're on different sides.
You know what I want someone to do, though? I said this, like, off camera, but I want someone to mimic this pig portrait, but with you instead, with, like, the glasses still kind of bugging into the camera. I want that. I just want to see if someone can do that.
Listen, we appreciate all fan art. If you want to create any, please send it our way. You know where to find us. Yeah, man. So like I said earlier in this reaction, we recommend this movie a lot in our Blade reaction.
Yeah.
And I feel like our channel is like two big things, right? Either we're reacting to like a heavy, hard comedy with a capital C, or we're reacting to action with a capital A.
Yeah, I know.
Where it's like over the top, but just extremely fun, done with a lot of craft. And this movie, I think every time I cut the camera just to take a break, if we were taking a break, I kept saying, I'm like, oh, this movie's like made for us, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it fits us like a glove. You know, I think, like you said, just to expand on it, it was a lot fucking weirder than I thought it was going to be. I couldn't stop thinking of like Total Recall and the Verhoevenisms throughout. I didn't want to keep bringing it up throughout the reaction, but I kept feeling it.
Yeah, it's very like specifically Total Recall. Like yeah. You know, it was just very interesting, especially the whole sex scene thing. That felt like something that Verhoeven would get into.
Yeah, it would have been a weird, like, Arnold scene.
Yeah, because Verhoeven's a pretty horny filmmaker, and it's kind of like, that scene felt, like, very inspired.
Didn't Verhoeven do that movie Showgirls? That was, like, supposed to be one of the worst movies ever made or something?
Yeah, you know what's funny, though? There's a lot of people that are showgirl defenders nowadays.
Yeah, it doesn't have, like, a cult kind of following.
And I know it's still considered, like, a really, like, one of the worst movies, but I've heard people say that, like, if you watch the movie, it's actually, like, in terms of filmmaking craftsmanship, it's well made, which I wouldn't doubt because Verhoeven's just, in terms of craft, is very talented, but...
Yeah, he's a good director.
Who knows? That movie could still be insane.
Yeah.
That being said, though, this is, like, kind of the best kind of Stallone that I really like. Outside of the Rocky, like, I feel like Rocky's his, like, I'm gonna act now.
But yeah, make a real authentic drama.
When it's not Rocky, this is the kind of Stallone I want. Kind of him smirking, looking like a tank.
Yeah. Kicking ass, saying one-liners.
Stallone definitely has way more, he can bring way more, like, personality than I feel like Arnold can. Like,
very different personality.
Arnold brings a lot of personality.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that dude has got some personality, but I know what you're saying. Like, just different. He brings a different flavor. Like, they're both the same dishes, just different flavors.
Yeah, like when he was having that burger and drinking a beer, I'm like, this is what Stallone is to a lot of people. Yeah. Which is like, oh, he's my guy. I'd love to have a beer with him.
Yeah, yeah. He feels like the American hero. Almost like a little bit of Bruce Willis.
Exactly. Which is kind of just like, yeah, man, fuck up those people with that old school car. You know what I mean? It feels like that kind of vibe. And, yeah, Bruce Willis is a good... Yeah, Bruce Willis is even more blue collar, where it feels even more grounded.
Well, especially, I think it's mostly in relative terms in this movie too, where everything's so pristine and sterile that like a guy like Stallone coming in, he looks even more blue collar than ever.
Oh, I know. I gotta say though, we kept saying like, oh, look how expensive this movie looks.
Yeah.
You know something that I really appreciate. Maybe the audience has heard me say this many times, but. I'm not going to go on a tangent on this. I know I've talked about this kind of thing before. A lot of blockbusters nowadays don't really look that good. And the problem is they don't look good and they cost $200 million.
It's baffling to me. I agree.
There's a lot of movies that I'm just like, wow, how does this look like this? There's just no personality or texture into the filmmaking, mostly because it's shot in voids and green screens, yada, 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 right? You look at Demolition Man, this movie feels expensive, looks expensive.
I know. It has like that kind of like James Cameron-y kind of scale to it. It makes me think of, and it's not nearly as, I guess not in a bad way, but not nearly as like good and masterfully done as James Cameron. Mm-hmm. But it reminds me of like True Lies. Like the action scenes and the way they're shot. It reminds me a lot of like True Lies, a little bit of Aliens in there.
Yeah, where like, yeah, True Lies is a great comparison to this movie. I feel like True Lies and Demolition Man could be like amazing double features.
Yeah.
Just because they're both extremely strange and weird in terms of tone.
Yeah.
But then also like feel like Hollywood gave all the money to do like whatever they wanted.
I
Like
know.
literally do whatever you want.
I know. I've never seen a movie until now with such a weird sense of humor with that type of action at the same time.
Yeah, again, we keep mentioning Verhoeven because he's kind of the only one that we know that does that.
Yeah, it felt like it was written by like people who are dorks and wish they were like action heroes. And so they're like, how can we blend that part?
They put
together?
a lot of that into Sandra Bullock's character,
Exactly, yeah.
who is remarkable in this. She's so funny.
Yeah.
I've always liked Sandra Bullock, but I think this is like highlights what she does really well. Like,
Yeah.
which is just like, she's really funny.
She is. She's really funny. This is the only time I'll bring it up in this podcast. But Miss Congeniality, she is very funny in it. You know, movie's not perfect by any means, but she is very funny.
Yeah, no. I'd be down to check it out.
Yeah,
It
you know
just-
the basic concept of Miss Congeniality, right?
Yeah, you've explained it to me many times.
Cool. Just making sure.
It's another one of those movies for you, man.
All roads lead to. For me, you guys probably don't hear this a lot from me unless you check out the rest of our podcast, which would be awesome if you did.
Yeah, while you're
But-
here, we have our main show, which is our podcast. We've done movies like Ferris Bueller, Starship Troopers. We revisited Starship Troopers with an hour-long discussion about what our experience was like watching it again. So go check that out.
Yeah, and at this point, Willy Wonka should be out too. So
Yeah.
By all means, go through. But I bring up a lot of random ass movies from time to time. But
Chris's whole thing is that like you basically grew up with a lot of these movies that just would be on TV. So like you'll randomly bring up like what's another movie?
Dickie Roberts will come in there.
Yeah, you've mentioned Dickie Roberts to me so many times.
Jingle All the Way.
Yeah. Jingle All the Way is probably the most popular movie you've mentioned to me. You're like, oh, that one everyone knows.
But yeah,
But that being said, Sandra Bullock's remarkable in this. But like, yeah, man, the action set pieces just feel like they built this crazy set.
oh yeah, that car scene or that chase scene was like that looked great.
The shot where Stallone is jumping from one car to another, it could be a stuntman, I don't know, but
Yeah.
like it looks amazing.
It's a good stunt either way.
That's where it feels like a lot of James Cameron stuff. Like
Yeah, that's what it makes me think of. It makes me think of like the chase scene in like Terminator 2.
the LA River scene.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so this movie kind of like when I watch a movie like this where it puts so much effort into silliness in terms of action,
Yeah.
but it looks so good, I'm like, did we fucking get worse at making action movies like this?
When it comes to that, I think objectively, yes.
Because like the scene where like Stallone is holding onto a crane and crashes like Wesley Snipes' head that's like shatters in glass, but it's like you can tell it's a real set and you can tell things are actually exploding in the background.
Oh yeah, sparks are flying everywhere. It's like chaotic and noisy. Glass shatters.
Think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Like this is all so silly and weird and crazy, but they put so much manpower into this, And that's kind of something I miss is like if people are coming out and spending their hard-earned money on a movie, as silly as it is, come on, let's put all our love into it.
Yeah, exactly. Go all out.
Who cares if it's highbrow A24 or who cares if it's just a schlocky studio movie? Make sure that people feel like they're escaping. That's what the Demolition Man does.
Yeah, and I think what's cool too, like speaking of like highbrow, I think they did have more to chew on than I expected in the themes too.
Sure, yeah.
Like I think the idea, it reminded me, this is a weird poll, but it reminded me a little bit of the themes of A Clockwork Orange a little bit.
That's
like,
wow, yeah.
It's a weird poll, but like they both kind of involve the themes of like the choice being taken away when it comes to like, is that real morality if you're just sterilizing everything? Because the whole thing in The Clockwork Orange is that he undergoes the program that completely brainwashes him to not commit any crimes or have any bad thoughts. Mm-hmm. But that's like the whole weird dark question that it asks. Is like, is the choice worth it? You know what I mean? Worth keeping.
Yeah, it definitely like felt like it has something to say.
Yeah.
That being said, though, it's a very like, I think something Verhoeven's able to do really well that I don't think this movie tackles quite as well.
Yeah.
Is Verhoeven's able to do the very silly action set pieces, but he's able to hit the themes a little bit harder. And this movie feels like it gives up a little bit. Like by the time Cocteau dies, it just becomes a regular action movie.
Yeah, the third act is definitely just a like mano a mano, type of fight.
Yeah, but you could tell it like tried, which is all you can ask. I mean,
because he says it. Wesley Snipes says it, where he's like, "You're taking away our right to be assholes." That's kind of like the theme that it's going for a little bit.
yeah, no, totally. overall, just like a very like extremely entertaining movie.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how I missed it.
I know, it seems like a movie that just would have been in our radar at some point.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Like, we got a comment recently that was just like, and I remember sharing it with you.
Yeah, you texted it to me.
Where someone was just like, how old are you guys? I feel like you guys are a decade older than me.
Well, he said, I'm 35 and you guys look a decade older than me.
Have you guys not seen any movies? And it was like, and what's funny about that is twofold. Do we look 45?
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. Commenters, if we look 45, I would love to know now so I can drastically make some lifestyle changes.
Yeah. But I'll start dressing differently. I don't care.
Yeah, whatever we got to do.
But number two is also just like, the funny thing is you and I are at constant like a freak out mode of just like, are we gonna run out of movies to react to? Because we have seen a lot of movies before we start doing reactions. There's a reason why we don't react to any MCU movies, because we've seen all of them.
Yeah.
There's a reason we don't react to Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, the big ones that a lot of reactors do, because we've seen all of them.
Yeah.
And so we always feel like, oh man, we can't react to as many movies because we've seen so many.
Well, it's just the nature of this podcast channel. That's the whole point of it.
The point of us starting a podcast channel, the channel you're on right now, is to talk about movies that we've already reacted to, but still have a place to kind of express our love for them.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's funny, like, whenever we do movies like this, Demolition Man, or if we do Ghostbusters or something like that, people still comment, like, have you guys seen nothing?
Or just straight up, sometimes we get accused of faking. You know?
Yeah.
It's just funny, too. And obviously, we're not trying to just complain about our situation. I love what we do, and I love the community we have.
Yeah.
I love, but it is just funny. You can't... Every channel gets those comments, right? Those negative guys that come in.
I think what I'm trying to say is that there's always going to be movies out there that are a big surprise to us.
Yeah.
To be honest, like you said, I know we joked about it. I had no idea what to expect from this movie specifically. I was like, all right, we'll put on Demolition Man, whatever. But I've noticed in the past, whenever I'm kind of lukewarm in my expectation for what we're about to react to, I'm always pleasantly surprised.
Do you have an example?
Blade.
Yeah. Blade, that one was voted on too by our patrons.
So that one was voted on. I hadn't seen a single scene from the movie, and I knew it was an early 2000s action. So honestly, I had the expectation that it was like, oh, it's an early 2000s superhero movie, so it's going to be a bit dated. They didn't have the technology to pull it off, and the technology and CGI was all just Wesley Snipes kicking ass. Like, it was like,
I know.
It was literally like, no, this guy knows how to fight, and he's going to look awesome doing it.
Especially the second movie too. The kicking ass in the second movie is just awesome.
Yeah, well, that's where Del Toro comes in, and he's like, I got some sauce for you guys.
Yeah, and he gives a villain that has this big poetic death scene.
Yeah, that's when you know Del Toro came in, because he was just like, I'm gonna really hone in on this villain.
I know.
But that's something we can talk about. How good Wesley Snipes is at just fighting in movies.
Oh, he looks amazing. I know. He has such good... I know comments have said he actually does have experience in martial arts.
Yeah.
And it very much shows.
We talk a lot about people like Keanu Reeves and people who are just like amazing at just fight choreography. Mm-hmm. There's something just so purely cinematic about Wesley Snipes fighting. Like in Blade, you see it all the time. Like, yeah. I remember mentioning in the first Blade reaction, I was like, you could pause at every frame during a fight scene with him as Blade, and it feels like it could be like a still. It feels
from like a comic book or something.
Yeah. He like moves in a certain way that looks good on camera, which I think is underrated.
Yeah, no, he looks great on camera, and also his face. He has this kind of cheekiness about him when he fights. Like in Blade, he'll have that kind of small smile when he says. He always says, like, he delivers his lines like he loves being in movies. Like he's so proud of the movie he's in.
And I love that. Yeah. I love that so much about him.
Like you said it during the Demolition Man reaction. You're like, some motherfuckers like prefer to skate uphill. I skate uphill, whatever the line is.
No, you nailed that line.
Come on, man. Come on, why you gotta do that to me?
No,
I don't like you trying to embarrass me in front of them. What is it? I'm gonna look it up now.
By the way, we're going to keep all this. It's going to be this quiet.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill, okay? It's not that easy to just fly out of your mouth. To be honest,
I didn't really quite remember it. No, but like, apparently that was I remember a commenter saying that was a line that like Wesley Snipes said on his own off camera somewhere, and like the director just put it in.
Yeah.
And so I just think that's like he's just that guy,
I just looked up the movie's budget and how much money it made, out of curiosity?
So this is Wikipedia. It says the budget was around 45 to 77 million. I wonder how much of that just went to Stallone.
Yeah, that's a big range.
And then the box office was 159 million. You know, that's something to talk about. Like, I love how this movie just like the opening credits are just like Stallone, Wesley Snipes, Demolition Man. It's just like such a perfect, like, that's all you need.
Yeah, I know, right?
Back then, people were just like, fuck those two guys, I'll go.
That's enough for me to go out, yeah.
I mean, I always say, like, like, back then people used to just go for the movie stars. Nowadays, I'm like, no, if movies highlight the movie stars, people will still go. Like, you know, like, I hate to bring this movie up, but Anyone But You, that rom-com that came out, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's a movie that's not getting great reviews, right? But just the idea that it had Glenn Powell in it, which now everyone loves after Top Gun Maverick, and Sydney Sweeney, who everyone loves as well, people were just like,
no, that's enough for me to go see it.
I'll go see them. You know what I mean? Even though people heard it got bad reviews, everyone's like, that sounds like a fun Friday night.
Yeah.
So I feel like if movies still like use the movie star formula, which is just like, let these people lead the movie and take you to another world, it works.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see Jason Statham fight people because someone did some cybercrime and needs to beat them up. I'm going to go see The Beekeeper.
Yes, I know. You're going to see that one?
I have to see it before it leaves theaters. Like, it's one of the highest grossing movies of 2024 so far.
It just feels like you got to see it, what the hype is about.
I'm just like, that sounds amazing.
I know. I've been itching to go see a new movie lately because I still have I got an AMC gift card for Christmas, and I need to figure out what I want to see next.
So right now it's February. I've been busy moving and everything, so I haven't. Shockingly, I haven't seen a new movie in a minute. I usually go like once a week, but last one I saw was American Fiction last month.
Okay.
Which was really good. I really want to see keep that in. I really want to see Beekeeper. I also want to see this movie Taste of Things. But before all of that, March 1st, we got to go into Arrakis, man. It's spice season.
Spice season.
I mean, hell, man.
I know.
It's coming out.
Yeah. We're gonna
Dune 2.
Gotta see Dune 2.
Dune 2. All right. Well, that was a blast. I hope you guys had fun watching us watch this movie. Like we said, check out this channel while you're here. Enjoy us talking about some of our favorite movies and why they mean so much to us. Thank you so much to our patrons for supporting us again and again. Last but not least, stay nice, dudes.